Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. In today's video I'm going to be going through everything I watched in the first week of April 2022. The majority of films in this particular week were streaming or cinema releases. In fact, I've only got 3 physical to show you. So the last week of March, from the 28th all the way up until the 1st, I didn't watch anything. So that's pretty much 4 days where, 3 days where I didn't watch a film. So now, whereas it used to be Sunday to Sunday, and then it moved from Monday to Monday, or Tuesday to Monday rather. Now it is going to be going from Friday to Friday, so literally end of week to end of week. So you should get all the new releases at the start of this video, pretty much is what I'm saying, and then it should go to the older ones eventually. But anyway, I'll get straight into it. And the first film I watched was a new Netflix film, and it was The Bubble, which is the newest Judd Apatow film, which, if I'm going to be honest, I expected a lot more from, considering he has done some fantastic comedies, some of the best comedies from the last 20 years. And whilst it was a mediocre, slightly enjoyable film, it definitely did not fit with his other films. The concept of the film is interesting but a bit stale, and some of the humour works, some doesn't. What you get in the end really is just a very average film, not good, not bad. It's got great talent in there that don't show anything new, don't really bring anything to this film. And as I say, the word to use for this film is very mediocre, unfortunately. I gave The Bubble 3 out of 5 stars, which is still good. I did, as I say, enjoyed some of it, but it is very mediocre. Probably wouldn't watch it again. Next up, we have one to show, Chicago. Another musical. I heard by many people that this is considered one of the best musicals of the last 30 years. And this is just basically shown, as you can see, by the plethora of accolades that it has collected up. It won 6 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Supporting Actress from Catherine Zeta-Jones. Where am I? And it is a great and well-made musical that I really enjoyed. Renee Zellweger and Catherine Zeta-Jones were both fantastic as Roxy Hart and Grace Kelly. Not Grace Kelly. Velma Kelly. Sorry, I'm not cutting that out. I'm not starting again. And Richard Gere was as charismatic as ever, playing lawyer Billy Flynn. The music was very catchy, and specifically the musical numbers, which were played out as though they were on stage as the original production would have been. The story was interesting, and the film held my attention throughout its entirety. It's definitely up there with the greatest musicals for me, and it's definitely one that I will be, without question, revisiting in the future. I gave Chicago 4.5 stars out of 5. Next up, another streaming one on Netflix, and this one, as of now, is probably one of my favourites of April. It may even stick to being my favourite of April, because it's the best that I've seen so far, and it's very underrated, and it is Apollo 10.5: A Space Age Childhood, a new Richard Linklater film. Now, I haven't seen many of Richard Linklater's films, but I do know that he is considered a visionary director, and he has made some groundbreaking films in cinema history. Having seen the trailer to this, I was definitely intrigued, to say the least. This film, much like another Linklater film, A Scanner Darkly, uses the technique of rotoscoping, which basically just means that they shoot everything in live action, and then they put a very clever animated type filter on top of it, which just makes the film look really just beautiful. This, as of now, is definitely near the top of my best of the year list, as well as being a very well made film. It is also very entertaining, with a beautiful soundtrack, and it's just a very heartwarming story like a coming-of-age story more than anything, about growing up in the 60s in Houston during the space race. This is a film, as I say, that I really think has gone really under the radar, very underrated, and it was just really quietly dropped on Netflix. It is a Netflix original film. Didn't have any promotion really, but this is definitely a film that I would say for lovers of film should be seen by as many people as possible, and I think really it will become a cult classic in 20 years time, because it is just a very, very good film. I gave this film 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, cinema release, and I went and saw Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So I am with most people in saying that I really enjoyed the first Sonic film for what it was, so I was really looking forward to seeing much of the same in this one, in the sequel, which is pretty much exactly what we got, with the addition of more characters and even more wackiness from Jim Carrey as Robotnik. Whilst this isn't as good as the first film, it is still a very enjoyable watch and a good, solid addition to the franchise. James Marsden isn't really in this as much as he was in the first film, even though he does still get top billing in this. But I do think it bodes well for the story, for the continuation of the story, letting him come back a bit and focusing more on Sonic and these new characters. It basically focuses more on the new friendship between Sonic and Tails. I look forward to seeing what's next in this franchise, and just really seeing whether Jim Carrey is actually done with acting, or if he will return for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I gave Sonic the Hedgehog 2 3.5 stars out of 5. Next film I really don't want to talk about because it's one of the worst films I've ever seen. Haven't even given it a rating. It is 0, 0, 0, 0. Some people would probably give it a little bit higher rating than me. Some people might say I'm being a bit harsh. That is just god awful, and the film in question is Morbius. My expectations were really low going into this because the trailers were awful, CGI looked awful, the story looked awful, the acting looked awful, and it really was. Really didn't expect it to be as bad as it was though. Jared Leto hasn't really had much luck recently, between House of Gucci, which he wasn't very good in, and now this as well. CGI, as they say, was terrible, some of the worst CGI. Story was just completely laughable, and the acting was abysmal from everyone, literally everyone. This was so bad that when the film finished and the end credits came on, I physically shook my head because I could not believe what I'd just sat through. Jared Harris, why he was in this I don't know. He was absolutely wasted in this, and he's a fantastic actor. And the person that I was looking forward to the most, being Matt Smith, was terrible in this. Characters were so boring, the script was bad, and overall it is a terrible and one of the worst films I have ever seen. I gave Morbius nothing. It deserves nothing. It is just awful. Only thing I can credit is the people that worked hard to make this horrible film, because they're the only ones that deserve credit, because everything else about this film is awful. It is probably even worse than Monster Hunter, which if you saw last year I watched. I hated that as well. I'm going to use the word hate for this. I did hate it, and I will never ever watch it again. That is Morbius. That's my rant of the video over. Had to get it out there, my thoughts, because I thought it was awful. Next up was a classic that I absolutely love, one of my favourite Disney animated films that I would absolutely love to see get the 4K treatment like some of the others have had, which I decided to watch on Disney Plus because I've not seen it for ages, and that is Hercules. I love it. I absolutely love Hercules. It is one of the most underrated Disney films from the 90s in my opinion. It's so charming, it has a great voice cast, and it's just a really great story. The songs are great, it looks absolutely beautiful, and it is easily one of my favourite Disney animated films, and one that I really do need to revisit more often than I do because I love it. As I said, love for it to get a 4K release. I would pick it up on day one, because I just love the film so much. I gave Hercules 4 stars out of 5. Yes, I say 4 stars, probably 4.5. Realistically, it's not a perfect film, but yeah, I probably would actually give it 4.5 if I'm thinking about it now. Two left. Next up, they're both comedies, is The Wedding Singer. This is a very pleasant film and has quite a lot of laughs and a lot of heart to it. Adam Sandler shows in this film that he did used to be funny, he did used to make good films, and Drew Barrymore is great, as I think she usually is. Big Miracle was just, I think it was a miscast for her, really. The story is just classic, and the music choices are absolutely spot on. It's a great 90s film set in the 80s that is easy to watch and has a lot of laughs. Got a cameo from Billy Idol in the end. It's just a really memorable ending as well on the plane, and I just really liked it. It was great. I gave The Wedding Singer 4 out of 5 stars. And then the final film I watched that week was Did You Hear About the Morgans, which I didn't think I would enjoy that much. It seems to be like it's going to be quite a crappy, cheesy comedy. But actually, it was pretty funny. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'm back. Right, as I was saying, it is a pretty funny comedy with Hugh Grant and Sarah Jessica Parker, who I think have great romantic chemistry in this film. For what it is, I guess it is pretty generic, but I think for this film that is a good thing, because it just makes it a nice and easy watch. Sam Elliott and Mary Steenburgen were great as the sheriff and the deputy who were protecting the Morgans, and it was just a nice watch that put me in a good mood, and I liked it more than I thought it was. It wasn't as cheesy as I thought it would be, and it was just an overall good film. I gave Did You Hear About the Morgans 3.5 stars out of 5. And that's it. So that is everything I watched in the first week of April. Let me know down below in the comments, are there any there that you've seen? Are there any you are now interested in watching? Everything and anything. I will get back to anyone that takes the time to leave me a comment. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and turn your notification bell on if you want to see more videos, like when you want to know when there's a new video on the channel. And that's it. So until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye.